Because we couldn't be trusted. The Emperor needed a weapon that would never obey its own desires before those of the Imperium. He needed a weapon that would never bite the hand that feeds. The World Eaters were not that weapon. We've all drawn blades purely for the sake of shedding blood, and we've all felt the exaltation of winning a war that never even needed to happen. We are not the tame, reliable pets that the Emperor wanted. The wolves obey when we would not. The wolves can be trusted when we never could. They have a discipline we lack, because their passions are not aflame with the butcher's nails buzzing in the back of their skulls. The wolves will always come to heel when called. In that regard, it is a mystery why they name themselves wolves. They are tame, collared by the Emperor, obeying his every whim. But a wolf doesn't behave that way. Only a dog does. That is why we are the Eaters of Worlds, and the Warhounds no longer. 8th Captain Khan, from his unpublished treatise, The 18 Legions.
The 12th Legion Space Marines, formerly known as the Warhounds, currently known as the World Eaters, are amongst my favorite of the Space Marine Legions. Not only because they are bloodthirsty berserkers. I really like that trope. I mean, blood for the blood god and all that good stuff, right? But they're my favorite in the sense that they are second to the Emperor's Children in pure tragedy. The reason why I say that they're tragic is because of their reunitement with their Primarch, Angron, was not a glorious occasion like it was for other legions, such as, the Ultramarines, the Imperial Fists, things like that. So the issue with the World Eaters is that when other legions would look upon their Primarch, there would be a spark, a drive in them into awe of their Gene-Sire, to follow their every command, to love him as if they were their father, which they are, they're their Gene-Father. The World Eaters lacked this, and it's made evident in the book, I believe it's the Betrayer, where Karn and Argel Tal were discussing with one another, and Karn just asks, what is it like when you look upon your Primarch? And Argel Tal explains that it's that feeling, that the sense of awe, the sense of loyalty, that he wants to follow Lorgar into the very bowels of hell itself and out. And to Karn, that is almost completely alien, because he cannot look upon Angron with the same spark. And none of the Legion can. And I think it's safe to say, well, Conrad Kurz was the only Primarch to hate his Legion. The World Eaters were the only Legion to hate their Primarch. And it's not for a lack of trying either is the thing, because Angron was implanted with something called the Butcher's Nails, which cause extreme pain and discomfort when not engaged in wholesale violence and slaughter and bloodshed. And it sometimes sings its song loud, the song of the nails, the singing of the nails, and it will drive someone to berserk madness. And I believe that interrupted his connection with his sons. And his sons wanted to go ahead and actually volunteer and go with the surgery to implement the Butcher's Nails into themselves to try and forge that connection to their Primarch that the other legions had. Unfortunately, it did not work. Number one, the Psychers of the Legion, the Librarians, let's just say that didn't work out well for them, and they literally fucking exploded in the middle of combat, or just randomly. They couldn't be implemented with the Butcher's Nails. And the rest of the Legion that went with the Butcher's Nails, Karn was the first, didn't unlock that connection with their Liege Lord. And that is honestly kind of depressing. They went through all this effort to try to connect with him, a Primarch that dislikes his Legion, as well as Legion disliking him now, only for it to fail. And I feel like that encapsulates just the utter depressing nature of the setting. And it's just unfortunate. So, the difference between their Butcher's Nails and Angron's is that Angron's, it's not able to be removed. It's probably something to do with the Primarch's physiology regarding his brain, but even the Emperor took a look at this and was like, yo, shit's fucked. Can't do it without killing him. And the ones that were implemented in the Legion can be removed, but with great effort. And also, most of them kind of didn't want to remove it because it made them absolutely badass in combat. I mean, they were still bloodthirsty, raging berserkers with little sense of tactics, but they got the job done, and that's all they could really ask for. And on the world of Nuceria, Angron's homeworld, because Lorgar realized that the Butcher's Nails were killing him, he forced Angron to basically become a Demon Prince of Khorne, the first Primarch to become a Demon Prince. And he dragged the entire Legion down to hell with him. And I don't think Lorgar was being 100% malicious with this, because if you listen to the audiobooks, First Heretic and Betrayer, you kind of get the sense that Lorgar does care for his brother and wants to save him, but does it in a way that reduces Angron to be a slave to Khorne. I don't think this was on purpose. I don't think this was entirely malicious, but it is what happened. All Angron wanted to do was die, basically. He wanted to die to free himself from the torment that is existence. He was a slave upon Nuceria, he was a slave to the Emperor, and now he is an eternal slave to Khorne. And again, that exemplifies the absolute depressing nature of the 41st millennium, well, just Warhammer in general, because Great Crusade and Horus Heresy was 30k, the current setting is 40k, but still. And if you were to read parts of the Arcs of Omen, the recent, narrative that happened with Lion came back at the end, after he destroyed the Coral Engine, with one hit, he destroyed the entire planet, of course, with the help of Khorne. And he was thrown back into the warp, and for but a few moments, he didn't have the Butcher's Nails. He felt true peace and tranquility for just a moment. He thought he was dead, and he was wanting to accept that. He's like, oh hell yeah, I'm dead, let's go. And then immediately he was thrown back into another combat, or another conflict, to rip and tear like Doomguy. And honestly, I really hope that in the future, Angron gets killed, because my boy deserves a good rest. And the World Eaters Legion, I want them to stay around, but again, they also kind of need a rest as well. But then again, we gotta keep them around for narration purposes. We gotta have cool stories featuring, berserkers and all that good stuff. But yeah, this is one of my favorite legions, and I just wanted to have a little bit of a discussion about them. I think they're cool. I love their paint scheme, pre-heresy, post-heresy. They're also cool with the red and bronze, or the red and brass. That's cool. I know there's a warband that keeps the original blue and white color scheme as well, and I really do like that. But yeah, that's just my thoughts on the World Eaters and of Angron.